This past February, the world witnessed greatness. Super Bowl 52 between the New England Patriots and Philadelphia Eagles was one of the best upsets in football history. If you're not much of a football fan, you should fix that, by the way, because this is America, but let me just fill you in on the details. The Patriots have one of the best and also most hated quarterbacks in history, Tom Brady. This dude will undoubtedly be a Hall of Fame QB. He already has 5 Super Bowl rings and still has some playing years left, but he's also a fan of deflating footballs and lip-reading play calls from the opposing team. Again, he's one of the most talented ever, but also has a reputation of being kind of sleazy and pushing the limits of what is or is not cheating. Well, coming up against this Super Bowl winning machine was the Philadelphia Eagles, a team with precisely 0 championship rings, who lost their starting QB to a knee injury just a month before the Super Bowl. You could not have had a bigger underdog than the backup QB Nick Foles and the typically unwinning Philadelphia Eagles versus the championship dynasty that is the Patriots. It was a total David and Goliath situation, only with footballs instead of slingshots, I guess. Anyway, as the game started, the Eagles took an early lead and went into halftime ahead 22-12. However, one of Tom Brady and the Patriots' specialties is massive come-from-behind victories. Sure enough, the Patriots came back from the locker room and started tearing up the field, at one point taking the lead back at 33-32 early in the fourth quarter. But the Eagles would not be stopped. Every part of that team pulled together, they did their jobs, and ultimately defeated the Patriots 41-33. It was not just a great game by a backup QB or one specific play by a singular player that clinched the victory. What beat the Patriots was an unbelievable team. Now, even if you're not that into football, which we've already established you should fix, we all love a good upset, a good come-from-behind underdog story, don't we? We see this happen in sports all the time, when a team that may have less talented individual players plays together in a way that destroys the competition. Well, when it comes to our faith and this student ministry, we cannot overstate the value of our teams. I'll just go ahead and say it. You cannot totally follow Jesus without a team around you. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Hold on, man, isn't your faith in Jesus like a super personal thing? Don't I have to choose for myself whether I believe in him or not? Yes, you do. When it comes to the choice to trust and follow Jesus, that is completely an individual decision. Your parents, your coaches, your friends, they can't choose that for you. You have to make up your mind on that one. However, once you've made that decision and you begin trying to live the life that Jesus calls you to actually begin following him, that requires a team. And here's why. The more difficult something is, the more you need a team to accomplish it. Fundamentally, that's just true in life. Think about it. It takes a crew of a bunch of guys to build a house, but only one dude to build a birdhouse. See what I'm saying? The more difficult task requires more people to accomplish. And following Jesus, being a Christ-centered difference maker, that is incredibly difficult. Anyone who has followed Jesus for a while will tell you the same thing. There are temptations, trials that pop out of nowhere, people at school who just don't get it, who might even criticize you for what you believe. More than that, there's this whole new way of living that takes some figuring out, and that simple question of what would Jesus do is not always as easy to answer as it might seem. Don't get me wrong, there is no life as amazing or fulfilling as one lived for Jesus. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but it's just not easy, and we need a team of people to help us along the way. In fact, this idea of a team is found all over the Bible. And let me show you one of the clearest things God has to say to us about the power of a team. Ecclesiastes 4:12 says, "One man is able to have power over him who is alone, but 2 can stand against him. It's not easy to break a rope made of 3 strings." Now, this is a poetic verse designed to teach us about a more normal situation. It's not really advice for how to win a fight. In our lives and in our pursuit of Jesus, we don't have great chances if we try to do it alone. But our chances get better the more people we have around us helping us along. And to help us remember this, the writer compares us to strands in a rope. Now, I don't know if you've ever looked in detail at a rope. I mean, why would you? But it's basically several thin pieces of string braided or wound together. Individually, those strands wouldn't hold much, but bound together, they can pull trucks and stuff. They can do exponentially more as a unit than they ever could alone. In fact, we have some supplies at your cubes to help you play around with this idea. So here's what I want you to do when I say go. Pick up a single strand of string and try to pull it apart with your bare hands and see what happens. Then I want you to take 3 strands and twist them together and then try to pull them apart. If you want to partner up with people in your group to combine your efforts, go for it. But take the next couple minutes to play around with the difference between the single strand and the 3 bound together. Go. Students, life isn't easy, and following Jesus is challenging. If we try to go it alone, we're like this single piece of string. A little bit of pressure, a trial or a situation that really tests our faith, maybe a temptation we weren't prepared for that trips us up, and we break. We crumble, we lose traction, we veer off course. But when we surround ourselves with other Christ followers, when we engage with our teams and make ourselves part of something bigger than we could be on our own, there's nothing that will break us. We'll still struggle, we'll face difficult situations, but when we have a team to lean on, it won't crush us. We won't crumble in the face of trials or temptations. This is why to truly follow Jesus, you need to be like this, not this. A Christ follower is not a string, but part of a rope. There is no such thing as a single strand Christian. It fundamentally doesn't exist. That may seem a little blunt, but let me explain. Jesus instituted the church, and it is referred to again and again in the Bible as his bride. Now, that terminology may seem a little weird, but it was used because it's the best way to explain just how much Jesus cares about the church. Jesus loves the church, and it is the method he set up to teach us how to follow him and to reach others who don't know Jesus yet. Because of that, you cannot say you love and follow Jesus, but couldn't care less for his bride. To truly follow Jesus, you have to be part of his church. To try and do it any other way would be like saying you were dating somebody, but never spending any time together. At that point, are you really dating? I actually had that exact thing happen to me on the last day of 6th grade. I officially became boyfriend and girlfriend with a girl from my class. But then I went home to start my summer vacation, claiming I had a girlfriend, but all I did was hang out at home enjoying my summer like any 11-year-old boy would. Well, about 2 weeks into my vacation, one of her friends called me and asked if I still liked my girlfriend and wondered why I hadn't called or hung out with her or anything. And I literally said, oh, I didn't realize I needed to do that. Okay, I'll call her. By the way, what's her phone number? You see, we said we were dating and in this relationship, but since we weren't talking or spending time together or anything, it was a relationship in name only. When we say we are Christ followers, but we don't engage with the church and with our teams, we're not really following him the way he designed us to. I'm not saying you can't love Jesus or pray on your own or any of those things. I'm not questioning your sincerity in following Jesus. I'm just saying to truly follow him the way he asks us to, you have to have other people. In fact, we believe this so much that we have designed everything we do around here to provide you with the other people required to make up your ropeness. Is that a word? Doesn't matter. The reason you are sitting around cubes instead of in nice, neat little rows is because your groups are important. The reason we keep all the worship and games and messages fairly short up here is because your groups are important. The reason our student pastors spend countless hours recruiting and training only the best coaches is because your groups are important. Our groups are like ropes, and we don't want you trying to follow Jesus as just a string. And as an added bonus, faith gets more fun with friends. When you have text threads rolling with the people in your group, and it helps you share jokes and encouragement and ultimately just reminds you that you're not alone. Or when you're walking down the hall at school and you run into someone from your team, you're instantly connected to those weekend experiences and the inside jokes that come from being a part of this rope. Also, you need your team when things in life get tough. I mean, imagine if when things are not going well at home, you knew your coach and your teammates would listen to you. You knew you had somewhere to go where people genuinely cared. And imagine if you're dealing with some kind of destructive habit that you really wish you could stop, but you knew that there was a group of people who would not judge you, but would love you and support you through it. This was not designed to be an individual thing. Following Jesus is 100% a team sport. Now, practically speaking, this means that you would commit to being here regularly. If you tend to have a problem finding a ride, maybe a bike or a longboard or the 2 legs God gave you are an option. Or if not, maybe the people sitting around in your group could help you out with getting here. And when you are here, don't just sit there with your arms crossed, being totally silent. Engage, open up, be willing to answer questions. Connect with the people in your group, or else you'll always feel like a single strand doing this whole thing on your own. Guys, we need each other. We need these groups. It is not weakness to need other people. It's the way God designed the world and His church. You cannot do this alone because a Christ follower is not a string, but part of a rope. In fact, I want to challenge you with something today. We are going to commit to praying for each person in our group every day this week as a way of supporting each other as part of this rope. Now, I know that may be hard to remember for a lot of us. I forget stuff all the time. So we're going to make a little reminder for ourselves. In your cubes, you'll find a bunch more of the string we were using before in 3 different colors. And now as you circle up and talk with your teams, make some sort of wristband with those strings and wear it all week as a reminder to pray for each other. You can be like super artsy and creative and braid the thing if you want to, or you can be as dude as you want and just twist a couple strings together and tie a knot and call it a day. However you want to do it, make something you can wear all week that will remind you that you are not a string, but part of a rope.